So everyone wants to be an actor in this day of Hollywood and stardom. And today I'm going to be speaking to a friend of mine who's been acting for a while now. And we're going to get his take on what acting's like. Welcome to the Secret Men's Business Podcast. And today we're going to be talking to Tim Clarke, who's going to be talking to us about acting in Australia. Tim, how are you?
Very good, Joey. And you?
Good. Nice to see you. It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Yeah, it's been a while. But do you know what was funny? I was thinking that you and I first met many decades ago when I was still at drama school, or I was just finishing drama school.
Well, I know that I've known you for a while, and actually you encouraged me to go to drama school and do a course on acting. So thank you for that.
That's great. Did you do it?
I did it, and the reason why I was doing it was because I wanted to be an actor. I actually did it because I wanted to be more confident as a trainer.
Yeah.
Right, and yeah. I did it at CAE. I did probably every acting course that they offered there. So I did it for 2 years, every Wednesday night in the basement.
and that's so interesting, because that's what I often say about drama and acting. Regardless of whether or not it becomes a career or you make any money from it, it's a really great thing for people to do for communication skills and self-esteem and just kind of having fun.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about who you are, and I guess how did you discover, or what made you go into that field of acting?
Yeah, look, ever since I was a little kid, it was all about make-believe. You know, when you're little and you play make-believe games, whether it's, Cowboys and Indians or Spacemen and all that sort of stuff. I loved that part of playing. And then that kind of transferred over into when I was at school, any opportunity to be in a play or any kind of make-believe sort of thing. So it sort of came from that. But to be honest, that was kind of primary school. And then I went into secondary school, and I went through that awkward teenage boy stage and just kind of seemed to lose a lot of confidence, and then kind of let it go, even though I was still really interested in acting, would watch lots of films, but didn't really have the confidence to do it. So it didn't come back again until I was maybe 24, 25.
Right. And what was what's the driver for you? What do you feel when you are doing it? And I guess if you want to tell the listeners, are you more of a theatre stage actor, or are you more of a film actor? What do you feel that you are more comfortable in?
Yeah. Look, in terms of drive, it really comes back to what I was saying when I was like a little kid. It's just playing. It's just pretending. It's that stuff that we all do as kids, and that's all actors are doing. And in that sense, when you can just hang on to that feeling about it, these are the most fun in the world. And actors, for the most part, are just big kids. They just enjoy the playing, the pretending, the make-believe part of it. In terms of different styles, look, it's funny, I did a lot of theatre when I was young, and most of my training was very traditionally stage-based. But having come back to it as an older man, I'm a lot more interested in acting for camera. And I actually think I'm better at that now. Most of the stuff I do now is on film, and I just enjoy there's a truthfulness about the camera being this close. It's kind of this rather than, any need to be any bigger than you are in real life. So,
yeah. I mean, what you said earlier, I sort of believe you, but I remember when I had to do my first stage show, I know I haven't done hardly anything compared to you, but I just couldn't turn it off. You know what I mean? What is that? Just something that's a natural gift, or do you think that takes work? I was really conscious of who I couldn't turn off who I was to become the character. Do you know what I mean? There was a self-consciousness, and so is that a practicing thing? You think?
Yeah. Look, I think some of that sort of stuff just comes with experience, and you just kind of get used to it. And one of the things they'll teach you at drama school is you really focus on what you, the character, are trying to achieve in that scene. So you're trying to get some information from someone, or you're trying to explain something to another character. And if you're really committed to that, you're really committed to playing that action, then you're not going to be worried about what people are looking at you, and you're not going to be self-conscious.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, Joey, having said that, some days I have good days and some days I have bad days. Sometimes I'm just in the zone and I can do anything. And then some days, even still, I'm just not there. I'm all thumbs and my mouth doesn't work. And I don't know what that is. But, yeah.
In regards to, I guess, if we go into the serious part of it, say the career part of it, for you, was there a consideration to become an actor as a career, and was there an acceptance of, I guess, how far you could go versus how far you wanted to go?
Yeah, so it's interesting for me because it was whilst I was a late bloomer, it really was my passion and it really was what I wanted to do. And my parents tried to talk me out of it. But once I'd gone to drama school, I just knew that it was something I needed to do. And so I did pursue it as a career. I really thought it was going to be my career. But, I sort of got into my 30s and the work was really infrequent and I got into some debt and I actually decided that was kind of it. And I actually gave it up. And I actually gave it up for 15 years.
Wow.
So, and it's only really in the last 10 that I've come back to it. And I've kind of rediscovered the love of it. So I do a lot of it now. Most of my weekends are full of either a class or a film or preparing for an audition or whatever. But it sits in a different place now. I've sort of rediscovered the love of it. I do a lot of it. I don't always get paid for it. I've got, a full-time job which pays the bills. So, it's been an interesting one. I had these expectations of what it was going to be in my life. That didn't happen, and I thought, well, if it can't be that, it can't be anything. But now, as an older man that's come back, it's found its way back in, and it's in a really, really nice place for me. So, and it's interesting because I'm not desperate for it, because I don't, need this acting job to pay my bills. I'm auditioning better. I'm a lot more relaxed about it. I'm just being playful. So it's funny how it's come around.
And what's the nature of your work? I've seen you in a lot of commercials. I mean, that's how I think I reconnected with you, because I saw you in an ad.
Yeah.
I go, I know that guy, and then I took your role, and then I go, oh. So, and I've noticed that you've been in a lot of ads. Is that the way that you're going, or are you also doing movies and theatre?
Yeah. So look. Yeah, it's funny when you do ads, because ads are repeated so much. People see them all the time, and it's quite funny. It might be something that I was there for, half a day, and then I'm filming it, and it's nice. I get paid for it, but it's not a big deal for me. But then people will talk about it for years afterwards because it's still being repeated. So look, I've got an agent. Basically, I audition for anything she sends me to. And I would probably say the bulk of it is television commercials. But I do get the occasional small part on a TV show. And I'll also do a lot of independent and student films as well, which don't always pay, but they're great as well.
Yeah.
So, look, really, I mean, I really pretty much do take any opportunity that comes along, provided it's something I'm interested in. So, yeah.
Do you have like a dream role that you'd love to do? Like, for example, is there any particular TV show that you're really drawn to? And it could just be, just between us, there's a bit of a fantasy thing. Like, is there something that you really want to do that you haven't done yet, or something that you're heading towards?
Look, I'd love to be, as I said, on TV and film and stuff, I've only done pretty small parts. And I've been like the guest artist, so I'm only in one episode. I'd love to have an ongoing role in something.
Like character.
And look, I watched, that you get to inhabit for a long time. Like I've done films where which has been filmed over 3 weeks, and that's really interesting, playing that person every day for 3 weeks. But then that finishes. And I've always been amazed to think, what would it be like to be in a TV show that goes for a year or to really inhabit that person? That would be a fantasy. And look, I watch a lot of Netflix and stuff, particularly in these days, and I'm watching these really high quality, expensive shows. Would be an absolute. But one of the great things, Joe, is you're never too old to be an actor. So it still could happen. So
I know. Have you done Neighbours and all that stuff?
Oh, when I was young, I did bit parts on it. Yeah. I think I was in it three different bit parts in 1 year. So, in those days, it used to be in high rotation. But I haven't done it for it. But it's actually one of the few things that's still filming during these COVID days. So, which is interesting. So who knows?
And was there any discussion for you to go to Hollywood? Was there a moment where you thought, okay, go on, you're going to answer?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the young actors I work with now do that. And if they don't go to Hollywood, they go to Canada, because a lot of American TV shows are made in Canada. And Australians can get a visa easier than they can get a green card to work in America. So a lot of the young people that I meet through acting now are doing that, are going there. But for me, look, to be honest, people of my generation maybe didn't think about it so much, but I guess I wasn't that kind of confident a person to put it on the line that much. And I see young people are doing that, and I've got nothing but envy for it. But it's not something I ever thought.
We didn't grow up with the YouTube phenomenon, you know what I mean? Like nowadays you can just, I'm doing this podcast on YouTube, and so you don't know what can come from that. I think that there's a lot of, I don't know, I'm just telling you what I think, that the delusion that people think it's easy. Like I talk to you and I realize the work and the hours and you're doing weekends. Well, I think sometimes people think that if they've got looks, for example, or if they've done a school play, that's enough for them to go to Hollywood. And then do you have experience from friends of yours that have gone over and been delusioned by it all?
Yeah, and I think it's pretty cutthroat too. I mean, people go over. There's a thing called pilot season, Jay. So that's when the new TV shows, they do pilot episodes. And there's a huge season of casting where hopefully new people will get a go. So I know a lot of actors who will save their money and go over at that time for pilot season.
Right.
But, it's where everyone, well, I don't know, possibly the world goes. So the competition is immense. And so, yes, I know a lot of people that come back and don't. It's interesting that the Canada thing seems to be something which people are doing more now. So
Canada's cheaper, isn't it? It's cheaper to film there.
Yeah.
And I know that Australia had a very good run for a while when the dollar was good, but I think now with the dollar being, like, do they make a lot of American shows here still?
Yeah, look, not as much. It's interesting. It goes. Look, there's not a lot made here at any time, so it's actually hard to get work. But there seems to be some years are better than others, and of course this year is, a lot of productions have been stopped halfway through. I know people that were in a mini-series which has only got 2 weeks to go, but they may never get to finish it. Like some of the actors have gone back to America and they may have come back. So I don't know. There's a lot of people in those situations.
Yeah.
But, it really does. It goes through phases, and then you hear, there might be 1 year where there's a lot of stuff being made in Sydney, and then a couple of years later, there's a lot of things being made in Melbourne. But, of course, at the moment, there's very little in production at the moment. So.
Okay. You mentioned Netflix earlier. So, what's your stand on the quality of what's being churned out versus, say, 10 years ago? Because, I'm just mesmerized how good the shows are, and even the content. A girlfriend of mine has written, taken a book and she's adapted it, and she's in negotiations with ABC in America, right? So, those sort of things. Yeah, so what's your take on what opportunities there are because of Netflix, or do you think that it's causing the end of Hollywood?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it really is the golden age of television. I mean, I don't think television's been so good. And it's really interesting in conversation when you meet people. There's a new sentence which people say. They say, "What are you watching?"
Yeah.
It's a new question because everybody's because everybody's watching their shows, and you go into and people say, "Oh, you've got to watch," or "You've got to watch," and there's just not enough time.
There's not enough time.
Everybody's telling you to watch these shows, and there's not enough time because there's so much which is so good. So look, it really is terrific. I think movies in Hollywood have changed in that they're doing a lot of big blockbuster superhero action stuff. So it's about television is now doing the small human stories, and you get, really good actors are now doing television in a way in which they wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to say what I found is with your point about there's too much content. Like, if I don't like the first 10, 15 minutes, I just will give up, which I think is sad because, I started watching a show last night on Apple TV called Defending Jacob, and it's got big actors in it. It just wasn't fast enough, and I'm like thinking, Joe, be patient. Like, what's going on? Like, why do you need to know everything so quickly? Do you think that's true? Is that happening a lot?
Oh yeah. And look, this happens so many times that I'll start shows, and if the first episode doesn't grab me, I'm going, there's too much else to watch,
Yeah.
And sometimes people will say, oh, you've got to watch this, but you've got to get through the first 2 episodes because they're not great. And it's really like people are talking in that way about, how something's going to grab you.
So because of that point, do you think that is, in a way, the demise of production? So I feel like people now are the critics. And if people say, oh, don't bother with that, and then it spreads round, that could be the death of a show.
Yeah. Look, I think there's enough. Look, I think there's enough people now watching for shows to find an audience if they're on a level. But I do think you're right in that I think people's attention span is not what it was. I think the internet's changed that as well. And so what's really interesting is I still make a conscious choice to go to the movies. And I'm a bit of a nerd. I go by myself.
No, you're not a nerd. I go by myself too. We should do that.
Yeah.
I go on Friday mornings. That's my time.
Oh, really?
And I go to gold class if I can. But I that's one of the things I'm missing the most about lockdown is my Friday.
Yeah.
I used to love going to a movie on a Friday, and it could be either an art house or a commercial movie. But it was my escape from work and all that. Now I feel like I'm just watching it in my bedroom.
Yeah. But look, there's something about the making a conscious effort to go to a cinema. It means that I've committed to this show, and so I will actually probably give it more of a chance than if I'm watching it on TV.
Right.
Because I've made the effort. I've caught the tram there. I've paid my money. I've gone in. Whereas, TV, I've got the remote and I'll just turn it off. So. Yeah, it's a different experience for me, and I'll give them more of a go. So, yeah.
Well, saying that, I think comes up to my next question. Like, how are we going to deal with COVID-19 in this industry? Because, I got this funny feeling that it's not going to end as quickly as I thought it would end.
Yeah.
So, what's like? For example, there's a few shows in Hollywood, in New York and Broadway that I have always wanted to go and see or whatever, and it becomes a trip. And I normally go overseas every December for a conference, and then I go to New York and watch a few plays. Now I'm watching those shows online. Like I watched Hamilton, like you probably know, and I've seen a number of other shows online. Do you think that is there going to be a shift in the way that we watch theatre or the way that we watch and get entertained?
Yeah, I do. Look, I agree with you. I think this is going to be a lot longer than we all thought it was going to be. And I do worry about what's going to happen in theatre. So I go and see a lot of plays, and, I can't imagine Melbourne Theatre Company is going to bounce back, very quickly. What's really interesting is I'm actually, on Saturday, I did a Zoom play reading. So with a group called Melbourne Writers Theatre. Now, normally, so this is a group which supports new writers, and the writers bring their new scripts and actors read them. And normally you would do that in a theatre. So the actors would stand up with the scripts in their hand and just kind of act it as much as you can as you're reading it.
Right.
And then you would discuss it afterwards. Now, normally that would happen in a theatre, but on Saturday, we did it on Zoom.
And how was it?
Well, it worked pretty well. There's a little bit of a lag, so you can't quite connect with the other actor in the same way, but all of the people in the audience So they turned off their cameras and their mics and they watched us.
Right.
And then if I walked out of the scene, I closed my camera. And then if I come back on stage, I opened my camera and we did it like that. So it's been really interesting how people are adjusting. A lot of writers have got time to write. So there's a lot of people writing stuff. And I've probably done 4 or 5 readings on Zoom of new scripts and things. So I guess one positive, there's a lot of creative stuff. There's people are finding opportunities to do acting and get their writing presented on Zoom. But the ramifications for theatre on the long term, I can't imagine. And professional theatre in this country, its audience is generally older. You know, like I go to the theatre, I'm one of the young ones, you know, in terms of Melbourne Theatre Company and stuff. And I can't imagine that demographic, those people, are going to want to go back and sit in a crowd in a hurry.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think you said something earlier again that I have been focusing a lot with my career and my interest, and that is adapting. Because I think that there's still going to be room maybe for theatre, but it may just have to be online. Like, I mean, I really enjoy watching. I watch all the productions online from the National Theatre in London. You know? Yeah. So, like, it's because, you know, if you can't get there, you've got to see it. And God knows if it's going to come to Australia. So there may be a possibility for that adapting, like theatre becoming the same as Netflix. It becomes that the actors do the show, it's safe. I guess there probably have to be a lockdown period, I don't know, to make sure that, you know, if it's close. Because I heard, for example, that they're not doing any more kissing scenes. Kissing scenes are being removed. And my mum's favourite TV show, Bold and the Beautiful, like they're replacing the kissing scenes with mannequins. So it's
my God.
Yeah. So the whole thing is still evolving. And I think that if we're going to survive it, we have to adapt.
Yeah. Well, I did, between lockdowns, I did 2 short films and we were still observing social distancing on set. So they weren't films that there was any touching or kissing or anything, but we did, as actors, all stand 1.5 metres away. And when the sound guy hooks you up on the microphone or the makeup person they wore masks and everything.
Wow.
So, and the whole crew had masks except the actors between takes.
Wow.
So there's a whole set of protocols,
Well, it'll be interesting when the coronavirus actually starts becoming content. You know what I mean? When there's going to be content. Because there's going to be this period of time when everyone's locked up. And how are they going to demonstrate storylines when we're all in, you know what I mean? It's just going to be interesting to see what gets created in regards to talking about current stuff. So with that, well, the last question I want to ask you is, what advice would you give, like, the younger generation that are wanting to make believe, like you're saying, and want to be little kids? How are they going to navigate? What's your advice for them to navigate learning and even trusting that they should pursue an interest in this field? Because we don't want the field to die, do we?
No. Look, it's funny. I mean, there's, probably the sensible part of me would want to say something like, well, make sure you've got another job to fall back on and make sure you're sensible and da-da-da-da-da. But really, I kind of think if someone, whether it's music or dance, it just kind of goes for it. It just kind of drives them. And, they've got to kind of give it a go. And as long as it's making them happy, keep doing it. If it stops being fun, then stop, It's probably not the wisest advice, but really I just think those sort of people, artists, that kind of drives them.
I think there's lots of, if you're creative, there's lots of opportunity that could be had through this time. Do you know what I mean? I discovered on the weekend again an app called Twitch. Have you heard of Twitch?
No.
So Twitch gives you access to every DJ in the world playing sets, and you either pay or you are a guest, right? The guest gives you only limited amount, But last night I was yesterday I was in Sydney as if I was at the Beresford.
Oh wow!
Listening
That's
to a
so
DJ,
funny.
playing for 4 hours, and this guy set up his house to look like you're at a bar. It was really cool, and the music was so. I just think that there's ways for people to make money, and then
Yeah.
if someone likes you, they hire you, right, and you pay $10.
Mm.
So
Wow.
I think things are going to evolve. I hope
Yeah.
anyway.
Look, I absolutely agree with you, and I'm amazed just how quickly all these Zoom play readings and stuff have kind of happened. It's interesting. I'm not quite sure how that would transfer into something that actors can make money from, but yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, Tim, thank you so much for spending some
My
time with
pleasure.
us. It's been great seeing you again. And can you tell us if there's anything that we should look out for? Is there anything that we should look out for?
Look, there's a lot of things I've done which are on hold at the moment. But yeah, so as I said, there's a few things I've filmed which I'm sort of waiting for that to happen. So yeah, kind of watch this space, I think.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
No worries. Thanks, Joey.
So you've been listening to the Secret Men's Business podcast, and the podcast will be out on Monday, every Monday. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, and Google Manager. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.